then we'll get started. I'm just going to minimize my Zoom screen. Okay. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So first off, I want to just thank everyone for taking time out of their Thursday evening. I know that it's really difficult to find time, especially on a weekday evening, to schedule things like this. So we just appreciate you taking this time for us for this new endeavor. This evening, we're going to be discussing the New Mexico FaCES platform and the mission. We're going to briefly introduce some of the partners that encompass the entire scope of New Mexico FaCES, and then we're going to take a deeper dive into your role as a peer coach. So we want to just go ahead and introduce our team. We want to just connect a name to the FaCES. And these are going to be the people that you'll probably be reaching out to for the time being as you step into this peer coach position. So of course we have Ferdy, who is the founder and the creator of DART and the New Mexico FaCES project. And my name is Bethany Custard. I've been blessed with this opportunity to serve alongside Ferdy and Jason as we expand this program. I previously worked as an early childhood specialist for 15 years, and then I also served in the Literacy and Humanities Department with the New Mexico Public Education. And then, of course, we have Jason, Dr. Jason Ravitz, and he is a research and evaluation professional who has worked with Ferdy for decades, and he was a leader in the DART project. He's going to be sharing his 21st Century Skills Survey with us, specifically for this project. And the survey is based on years of research, specifically in project-based learning. So we're really lucky to have his research behind us. So we're just going to do a quick overview of this evening's goals. The first thing we're going to go through is understanding the opportunities for families that the FaCES project has, including the interactive family learning, the CSM core skills, and the CSM coaching skills. Then we're going to jump into our very first Jamboard that you're going to be using as a foundational piece for your very first story map, where you're going to be identifying your priorities and your interests. Then Jason is going to take us through a little bit about learning the 8 essential skills, the 21st century skills. And we're going to start taking apart those skills and identifying which ones are your strongest that you will be using in your story map. And then finally, we're going to do a quick run through where we're going to really dig into the CSM courses and make sure that you guys have access to the portal and that you are fully equipped to do your homework when we're done with this session. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it over to Jason. Jason is going to discuss a little bit about some of the skills that we're going to be using in order for us to succeed this evening.
Thanks. It's great to see everyone here. Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly that we're committed to making this a great experience for everyone. And one of the ways we're going to be successful is trying to make sure that everything we show you is exciting and interesting to you, and that you can tie it immediately to your interests and needs, and so that you're excited and see the relevance of what we're doing. And then we just want to make sure that it's your project and you're going to have control over what you're doing and learning in FaCES, and you're going to have the support you need so you can feel confident going forward. And we want to make sure everyone is able to celebrate your success and feel a real sense of satisfaction in what they're able to achieve. And regardless of which of the many paths through this project you end up taking or how you engage, we really hope that you have a positive experience like this. And I just wanted to welcome everyone, and I'm really excited to be here.
All right, Ferdy, this is your time to shine.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to not be talking through the slide. I'm going to be talking over the slide for a moment, because I think what can get lost by looking at all of the boxes and letters and everything that's on here, this is a lot of information in the project, and the project is necessarily complex because what we're dealing with is known technically as a wicked problem. And wicked problems are problems that are difficult to solve because they have either incomplete information or contradictory information. And in our case, we're trying to solve something that so far has eluded solution for at least 25 years or 30 years. Basically, the idea that digital equity means that people are able to use the resources that broadband brings to improve their lives. And what our work with our previous project that you heard Jason mention, the DART project, the data casting project, we have a few veterans on this Zoom right now who have been with us since the beginning. Creighton certainly and Heidi have worked on this, and we know that we discovered families have particular challenges, especially if they're rural, if they're native, and if they haven't had a lot of time working with technology. And we know that the family is at the heart of everything we're doing. FaCES stands for Family and Community Engagement Solutions. So the why of what we're doing is really coming from the insight that the people who face the problems every day are the ones who are best equipped to have the wisdom to solve it. And that's why peer coaching is so important. And in the peer coaching idea that we have, the idea is that we're walking alongside the people we're trying to help. We're trying to engage other coaches that are members of the community. And with particular focus, we're looking at single moms who could be working with us. We're looking at retired educators who could be working with us, and trying to build up the capacity in every community that we're working with. There are two elements that are going to be common across all of these vectors that you see moving from left to right. And the first of them is the 21st century skills, which is the purpose of what we're talking about, a large purpose of what we're talking about tonight. And that is that it gives us a common language and framework to think about things that are as natural as the water is surrounding the fish, but we don't think about it all the time. And so we're going to make it quite visible and try to socialize the idea of pointing out to people when they are using creativity and innovation, or when they are using communication or collaboration. And these skills, as you'll see when Jason presents them, are essential, and they're going to be a common thread throughout what we're doing in all of these topics. The other one is the way that we're going to engage people and get them excited is through telling their stories using story maps. And so you're going to find out about opportunities to learn to do story maps. The people on here already know how to do that, but we're going to be preparing other people who may be new to it. So starting at the left, we're beginning to understand what are the needs within the community for all of these different stakeholders that they have, and that informs our marketing development. We then begin with the coaching aspect. As I mentioned, everybody is going to get to do story maps. Every family is going to have access to literacy software, which any one of the member of the family can use, and it's a lifetime subscription, so it doesn't go away. Some people are going to explore entrepreneurship. Everyone is going to have the opportunity to earn a CSM certificate, and you're going to find more about that in a moment. And then that's where we really spread out into what is next for these people. We know that one of the most important and most powerful interventions for learning, in fact, is supposedly the second most powerful intervention for learning, is when people set their own goals and when they're supported in reaching those goals. And that's where your role is essential, because you're not going to be able to teach everybody everything they need to know, but you sure can help them through the spots where their motivations flags or their confidence flags. And that's where it's essential, the role that you're going to do. Ultimately, we want people to be better prepared to become creators rather than consumers of content. And some of these folks are also going to be able to develop skills over the next 18 months that will allow them to participate in the design and building of how broadband is rolling out in their communities. And ultimately, where we're headed is on December 2nd and December 3rd, we're going to have a fiesta up in Taos, where we're going to bring together all the people that we work with across the state over the next 7 weeks to share what we've learned, and then to motivate the next round of people who hopefully will be participating with us in a 2-year project. So this is the launch of something really great and really powerful, and you are in excellent hands. I know that Jason and Bethany are kind of modest about what they have to say, but I am very grateful to have handpicked the people that are on this call and that are going to be working with us, because we have some of the greatest people ever who are all dedicated educators and understand the power for social justice that digital equity can provide. So thank you for letting me give this little bit of an overview, and I'm going to turn it back over to you now, Bethany.
Awesome. Thank you, Ferdy. All right. So before we hop into the big meat of the CSM coaching, we wanted to go ahead and give you a little bit of an overview of the ArcGIS system and how that plays a part in our story maps that you will be playing with a little bit. All right, here we go.
Uh-oh. Video's not coming, the audio's not coming through.
The audio's not coming through. All right, 1 second. Let's try again.
There's that pesky little button there where you have to tell it to hit
The
the
double
audio
button.
thing.
Yep.
Josh, glad to see you joined us.
All right, guys. Take 2.
We'll fix it in post-production.
There we go.
Now, in Boyle Heights, we have Magnet program and an Esri GIS, Geographical Information Systems program. When I was dreaming in the projects about having a career in music, I live right here on 5th Street, behind the laundromat. When I was in the projects, my mom's best friend name was Dee, and Dee had 2 sons, Jermaine and Beanie. They were like rough. You would have been like, yo, I don't know if these guys are gonna make it. And this is how crazy and magical the world is. Beanie moved to San Diego, and Black Eyed Peas had a concert there in 2005. He hits me up on our website. He's like, Willie, it's Beanie from the projects. Like, what are you, Beanie? He's like awesome, dressed in a suit, no longer like gangbanging or anything like that. He's like super clean. Like, yo, Beanie, like, you really transformed. He was like, yo, I met this teacher that changed my life. I'm like, what do you do now? He was like, GIS. I'm like, what's GIS? Is that a new gang? He was like, no, GIS, well, like, geographical information systems. I input maps and I understand communities. 5 years later, I meet Jack Dangerman. He shows me his maps. It's like, these are GIS. Beanie works with Esri. One of the teachers that transformed Beanie's life was the Esri guy. Me and Beanie, we survived the projects. And education was the spark that altered our course, because we could have just ended up a statistic. And now we're doing our part to get other kids on that path of transformation.
Welcome to my family.
You got a great family. Jack Dangerman had this awesome technology. Type in like 90023, and you could ask this system anything. Like, how many people voted that's been in jail that are diabetic? And there's other ideas like Obama's stimulus plan, where you could see it and it's transparent, was built on GIS. Hospitals for emergency ambulance response use GIS. And to couple all that entry is very powerful. I was like, yo, type into the map how many drive-bys happened in the past 5 years. He was like, we don't have that information. I was like, exactly. Let's teach my kids how to create maps. That way they can input things that they see in the community. I remember going to Shenzhen like 5 years ago with a swamp. Now it's making everybody's device they have in their pocket. I want Boyle Heights and Watts to look like Shenzhen. Wouldn't it be awesome to go to, Facebook, be like, yo, this is my the CTO, Jerome. Yo, where you come from, Jerome? Yo, grew up in them projects. But now, Boyle Heights was the case study. And since then, Jack Dangerman and Esri have donated $1 billion worth of maps and tools for K through 12 across America. Started here at Roosevelt.
So
as I mentioned, our intent was to light, light the light bulb, get the interest flowing. Will.i.am, for those of us that are familiar with the movie Madagascar, he does the singing Black Eyed Peas, was the group, and quite amazing. He himself, what he's done through his activities in an organization he put together, is actually training students throughout his old neighborhood and now across the country. The next little short video I would like to show that I didn't show last time, just to get a better understanding about GIS. So I'd like to share this with you folks now.
GIS stands for Geographic Information System. Using computer hardware, software, and a ton of raw data, we can explore the fundamental principle of geography, that location is important in people's lives. Using GIS, we can view, understand, question, visualize, and interpret data in visual ways that reveal relationships and patterns, which allows us to make better decisions.
Okay,
I'm here.
go ahead and skip through to the next slide.
I'm here in the area that I grew.
This video to end. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Ferdy. And Ferdy, I'm going to go ahead and open up your story map for you. And I thought that you could discuss for a minute a little bit about your story map and how that works with our project.
Happy to do so. The challenge I had was that we were trying to explain this project to people, and the proposal was 9 written pages. People tune out before they've read 2 pages these days. So we wanted to find a way that would be more compelling. The first bit of this talks about where we came from, which was the data casting project, where we were working with at-risk people. And this is largely what I was explaining to you earlier. We found out what families need, and we found out that it is a natural thing for people to tell the stories of their place, of their families, of their heritage. So that's what we focused on. If someone hadn't seen our trailer, they could see it next. We don't need to see that now, but let's keep going down. The idea is shifting people to creators instead of consumers. And if they want to see that, they can. Thank you for putting that link in the chat, Bethany. The why of what we're doing is the digital equity, as I mentioned earlier. And what we're looking to do in the next 2 years is to work with 10,000 people across New Mexico. That's a big number. It's a number that is equal to the largest audience that PBS has currently for its state-wide shows. And we figured if we could hit that number, that would be a significant number. The 2 things we're going to do is give people direct experience of the benefits broadband could bring and prepare them to participate in the design and deployment. And so we are in discussions right now to get under the wing of the Public Education Department, who originally funded us, and move that under the broadband office. So we'll be talking with them next week to get this all worked out. But the big commitment is to make sure that our workforce is diverse and represents the diversity that we have across our state. Right now, it doesn't. So that's something we want to fix. The way we're going to fix it is by engagement, because we know that when we talk to families, the thing they care about most is the health and safety of their family. In order for them to guarantee that, they need to have stable employment. And if you're going to have stable employment, you have to have the types of skills that are going to be developed in this project, especially the ability to be a self-directed learner and a lifelong learner. So as we've done this, we've been able to work with various communities. There you see Nora Corbett, who is up in Taos. Donnie, you might know her, or Josh, maybe you've met her at the Land Trust. They're working food to farm to table type stuff. A really great work going on there. And also La Tormenta came from Taos, which is really where we learned about the power of community intergenerational storytelling. As I mentioned earlier, our model for how you're going to be a coach is a Spanish word acompañar, which means to walk alongside of in solidarity. And this is a key aspect of what we do. It's how we relate to power. When you talk with people about power, according to Brene Brown, people get quiet. They get, it's not a comfortable thing to talk about power because most of us have experienced it in one way. that is more or less coercive. And that is not the only way, or not even the most beneficial way. We're looking at 3 other ways of using power: power with, power to, and power within. And these are the powers that we're going to activate, because when you come from this type of power, it is infinite. It grows as it is shared. So as we work alongside the folks that will be in this project, this is our vibe. We're really trying to help them figure out their own goals and support them in reaching them. So the goals that you see, if you go a little lower, have to do with learning pathways. And these learning pathways are really done very well at the Hive. This is our center. Taos Hive is a great model for what every community needs. And they have the ability to provide entrepreneurship, training, high bandwidth, computers, people to help them use the computers. And one of the people using it the most there is STEM Arts Lab, where 2 of our folks have come from tonight. So we're very glad that we're going to be working with Taos Hive and STEM Arts Lab, especially next Friday, when there's going to be a special, very special experience where Agnes Chavez is actually leading some activities in Portugal, and we're going to be able to join them remotely from Taos between 9 o'clock and 11:30 in the morning, which we're hoping to videotape and share with everybody. So this vibe of using the arts and storytelling to advance economic development is at the heart of what we're doing with FaCES. Let's go down a little lower until we can show people where the map is and they can explore that some more. Well, I guess I went a little too far, but let's not take the time to go through this whole thing because we've got a great presentation set. The only thing I would like to show is the map. So if you look at this is an example of how a story map works. When you go here, you'll see the dots on the map, and each of these is a place that we're working. And as you scroll up the map, each of the videos begins to play. So the first video will play about what Taos Hive is doing. The second one is telling us what La Tormenta is about. And the third one is going to tell us about the International Folk Art Market, which is going on. And then we have, I guess if you just scroll, they'll keep going, because if you click on them, they're out of order. But we are working up in Gallup with early childhood. We are working in Tucumcari with story maps for history. And that's
Hello
where
there,
Creighton
Dylan Garcia with the Santa Fe Children's Museum.
We're going to want to hear what Creighton has to say about that also. And that map at number 11 down there is what, oh, sorry, Santa Fe Museum's virtual field trips is something we're doing too. So every time we have a new project that's going on, we're able to put a dot on the map that allows people to understand what is being done in each of the communities. And this is a living document. As we continue to update this document, we don't need to send out a new version. It'll just be a live document that is a good way of grounding people in what we're doing. And we can expect the projects that you're working on will populate this map too. So the idea of layering the map with the stories is what the story map is all about. And we're trying to walk the talk by telling our own story using the same technology that we're going to be sharing with all our participants. That's about it for me, Bethany.
Awesome. Thank you, Ferdy. Okay. So that's a brief little overview of story maps, but you guys are definitely going to be playing around with them very soon. So just to get started, because we're going to be using story maps as pretty much as our pathway, our passport as we go through all of our training, we wanted to go ahead and give you a place where you could start brainstorming. And so I'm going to throw a link in the chat, and this link, if you will please go ahead and click on it, it will open up a Jamboard, which I have right here. There's 2 pages on the Jamboard, but right now we're just going to work on the very first page. And so we would like for you guys to just grab a little sticky note on your Jamboard. It's the white little square. If you just click on it, you can fill in your sticky note. And we're asking you to fill in this question of what do you really want to learn about the New Mexico FaCES project and why. So here's a good example of mine right here. I just wanted to put that in, and then if you just go ahead and add your name. If you click save, it'll pop right up. So we'll give you just a minute or two to get some of these sticky notes up before we hop over to our next slide. And if anyone is having issues accessing the Jamboard, please just let me know. Awesome. And definitely feel free to leave this Jamboard up if you want to just come back to it as we're going through more of the information, you may. Awesome. Great. Perfect. And while we wait for that last sticky note, since I'm very, very picky with time, especially evening time, while we wait for that last sticky note, let's go ahead and go to our next slide. So one of the crucial pieces in the New Mexico FaCES project is family engagement. And so we have collaborated with the Family Learning Company, who has an amazing program that's not just for young students, but it's also for the entire family. So they are not here this evening to present, but we have just a quick 3-minute video to give you a good idea of what their program is about and why it is part of our project.
Hello, I'm John Bauer. I'm the CEO of the Family Learning Company, and I'm here to introduce you to family learning in the New Mexico FaCES project. Family learning is the most powerful method that we know to help people learn difficult things. And in the New Mexico FaCES project, we're applying it to literacy, reading and writing. Only about 1/3 of kids learn to read and write well in school. And those are the ones whose parents help them the most. Reading and writing is not easy to learn. It's not a natural skill. It takes time and it takes effort. And when parents help their children, or grandparents, aunts and uncles, older siblings, then those children learn to become great readers and writers. From there, they're all set up to have wonderful careers and wonderful lives. Now let me show you what family learning software looks like.
Welcome to elementary literacy. You and your family are in control. First, set a learning goal. It will help you learn better. You and your family members can try phonics, reading, vocabulary, or writing at any level you want, easy to hard. Pick any activity. Start the timer to see how fast you read. Practice to become a better reader. Stars show your progress. A yellow star means partially completed, and a green star shows that you've mastered that skill. Elementary literacy. Have fun learning to read.
That's all there is to it. It's easy to use. What's hard is getting the time, taking the time, spending the time to really use the software every day if possible. We recommend that you talk with your clients about taking a specific hour of the day, half hour of the day, before dinner, after dinner, whenever it works for them, so that one adult or more sits down with each child and helps them use the software and encourages them and keeps them on task and keeps them learning. If you can do that, if they can do that, they will master reading and writing. We know that. And we're looking forward to helping you do it. If you need help, call our 800 number, contact the company by email, talk with the New Mexico FaCES management. They'll get in touch with us. We're here to help you, help your clients, help their children learn. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're definitely going to be digging more into the Family Learning Company as time goes on. So I wanted to go ahead and go to the next slide. So Now is the big meat. This is the big meat of our peer coaching. So David Goldberg has done a wonderful job creating this CSM platform, and he has been gracious enough to give me a wonderful presentation. I will not do it justice the way that he would if he was here, but I will definitely go faster. So here we go. So what you see right here is the pathway for FaCES participants. At the center of the pathway, let me go back real quick so you can see right here. At the center of the pathway is where participants earn a CSM certificate. So our question today is, what is CSM and why is it that it plays such a prominent role? CSM started with a grant from the U.S. Department of Education to determine the most important factors for success in school, college, work, and life. Yes, we need to have math and literacy skills, but it's not algebra and poetry interpretation, but the most important skills that people can use in every day in work and life. Next is problem solving, and it's not just about test taking, but how you use your math and literacy to solve real world problems that you encounter in life and work. In school, you're taught how to learn by a teacher, but in the real work, there are no teachers or classrooms, and you have to learn on your own. And there are skills to learning the new skills. Most employers don't care that much about your skills, but rather about your attention to detail, persistence, and intention every single day when you come into work to knock it out of the ballpark. And these are the same skills that will allow you to graduate from high school, enter college, and also graduate. And finally, the most important factor of all is your self-confidence and belief in your ability to succeed at what you put your mind to. What are these factors? These are the factors of high performance that lead to success. They then built a course with next generation technology to teach high performance, and it's called CSM. It's online, and you can take it at your own pace. It takes most people around 20 to 70 hours to complete, which can be over weeks or months. And almost everyone can succeed. Even those with extra challenges can usually succeed with time and support. And that's where you will come in as a peer coach. CSM is highly personalized to the needs of the student. As seen on the right, let's have it pop up. Come and pop up, there we go. As seen on the right, sub-students go straight through the required red core skills, while others are taken on their own path through supporting skills that go low as 3rd grade math and 4th grade literacy. There is no persistence without frustration, so CSM measures and responds to student frustration, keeping every student in a zone of moderate, productive frustration that leads to the fastest learning and it helps to build their persistence. To build attention to detail and the intention to excel, the only passing grade on CSM is 100% for the fill in the blank questions. And of course, the most important thing is that CSM is focusing on building self-confidence. So I am actually currently going through some CSM courses, and when I go through particular skills within the courses, when I finish them, you'll get a little image right here that just, it's a personal motivator, just reminding you of how well you did and how well you ranked in comparison to either college graduates or people within your age range. Also, CSM does deep remediation to 4th grade math and literacy, and yet it gains prior learning transfer credit at colleges with about 800,000 students, and it's actually still growing. Surprisingly, in most of these colleges, CSM satisfies the general education math requirement for an associate or a bachelor's degree. We believe that CSM within the next year, CSM will gain credit at most New Mexico 2- and 4-year colleges, and in most cases for college math credit. For the majority of adult education students and the approximately half of high school graduates who have 4th to 6th grade math skills, their path to a college degree is very long, and only a handful of % make it to the end. We believe that what will happen soon is that we can replace this set of hurdles, all of these hurdles, clearly just by taking CSM courses. We can transform the pathway for a majority of New Mexico citizens into and through college. CSM High Performance spans educational backgrounds. In a program for high school dropouts in Cleveland, participants went to college in unprecedented numbers and then completed college in unprecedented numbers. CSM is also used by companies for employee upskilling. And in a Philadelphia health insurance company, there was I can never say this word, unanimity. Did I say it right, Ferdy?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that CSM was challenging, motivating, and made people better at their jobs. What's surprising is that a quarter of the people taking CSM had master's degrees or above, and another quarter had bachelor's degrees, taking the same CSM course as the high school dropouts. The logic of this is that while different people need different skills, CSM's high performance competencies seem to be of universal value. FaCES will be working with people across the community, coming with a wide range of backgrounds. CSM is one course for everyone. Working with participants from 14 to 65 years and older, with people from 4th grade literacy to those with advanced degrees, and in both education and in work settings. To our knowledge, CSM has the widest range of users in any existing course. Ultimately, the high performance skills that CSM develops are intended to empower people in their lives with both skills and earn self-confidence, so as to provide them resilience to the many challenges life throws at us, as well as the confidence to grasp for many opportunities available in New Mexico. So this was the presentation by David Goldberg, and the CSM course is what we will be digging in through in just a little bit.
Bethany, would you like to? You did. I said, give people a chance to ask some questions now.
Perfect.
Who's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be the first person to ask a good question here, or any question?
I'm going to pull up the chat and see what.
I've got a large pizza writing on this. You got to find out who's going to be the first person to say, oh, look, I see a hand there. Looks like Josh.
Let's hear it, Josh. What's your question?
Sorry, one sec. Okay. Hi. So this seems like a full-time project. Is it a full-time project for it? What kind of time availability and time sink are we looking at for this, for doing these?
If I can take a shot at that, Bethany. I just ran the numbers for our 2-year project, which is not what we're doing between now and Thanksgiving, but it sets a scale for it. We're looking at ultimately by the end of 2 years, 10,000 people, and the amount of money we have put in there for coaching at $30 an hour will support about 30,000 hours, which would be the equivalent of 15 full-time people. However, we're looking at spreading that out among as many part-time people as we can, because as I mentioned, particularly for single moms, if they can, if I get an amen from Bethany here, I think she's the one who helped me understand it. For a single mom to work 10 hours a week at $30 an hour is better than her working 30 hours at $10 an hour, like most things are. It gives her more time to work with her family. And I don't mean to see her, it could be any caregiver. So when we look at this, we're really looking at some coach putting in on average an hour a day. And that is just amount of checking in. So you can see that we'd have a large number of coaches doing an hour a day, 5 hours a week, would be, 250 hours a year if they're doing that. So it really is about you and the time that you have available. And as you'll see when we get to the end with the workshops, you literally can sign up and say, well, if these workshops are happening, I could do this one, but not that one. We'll make sure we have coverage among all the people we have. But right now, between now and Thanksgiving, we don't expect to have more than 100 people. And if we had 12 to 15 coaches that were working with us, that number of 1 hour a week would work just fine, because not everybody's going to need coaching all the time. If you think about the ratio, I was talking 10,000 people, 30,000 hours of coaching. On average, each person might need about 3 hours before they feel like they can do what they're doing themselves. And that's one of the things we're going to find out. This is something that hasn't been done before. So as we go to adjust it and find out what's needed, we're going to adjust as we go. I see Danya has asked, how do we get assigned to families or groups? Right now, we're looking at this as an opt-in type of situation. So in the model, you'll see again where we're doing a series of weekly sessions. Mondays are the instruction on the GIS, Wednesdays an office cooler kind of thing, water cooler kind of discussion, and then showcases on Friday. The people who show up to the session you're at, you'll be able to work with them. So I think for any more details, that's probably what Jason and Bethany are working on. But at this point, between now and Thanksgiving, we think that those parameters may work. Did I get that pretty close to what we've discussed, Bethany and Jason?
Yes. And hopefully our goal is that as you start going through the CSM coaching module, and as you start taking some of the courses, that you could think of other people in your community that would benefit from this as well. And we're hoping that it's your personal outreach that will help recruit people that could really benefit from all of these opportunities. Okay, do we have any other questions?
I would just like to see if Creighton can chime in on what it's been like for him to coach folks, because you've gone all over the place and worked with different teachers at different levels of intensity. Do you have any words of wisdom for us, Creighton?
Not really, other than my biggest thing about having been a teacher for 25 years and professional development and those kinds of things, having somebody go in, like I've done the ArcGIS in the classroom, so I know this is different than that, but just being there and getting it going, I think it's a way to this whole being by the side and working through with people is just the way things need to be started to be done now. I mean, just hands down. I don't know what else to say about that. I finished the module. It didn't take as long as I was expecting. And I think it's put together really well. And although it can be frustrating at times, the need to get 100% on every assignment, it's like, oh, it does force you to slow down and double check things. So there is a little pros and cons. It's like, all right, when I mess up because of a single simple error, that's time I instead of going back at it, I was like, all right, I just need to get up and go get a drink of water and come back and sit down and not be in a hurry. And I think if you're going to have any trouble working with other people, that's going to be the single biggest issue, is getting them to slow down. Because a side note, I watched a movie from the 1960s or 70s a couple days ago, and the pace of everything in that movie was much slower. And I look at like how much we're like just bam, 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 get something done, instant gratification, instant feedback. This is not in sync with how most people are used to dealing with things. So that'd be my words of wisdom there.
Excellent, thank you. I see Danya has a question and Josh has a question. I'm going to skip to the end of the book. On the calendar, I did indicate that almost all of the workshops we're going to be doing, because of the need for face-to-face and because school time is kind of out of bounds, we're looking at doing these things after school. So tentatively, we're looking at the GIS sessions going The Monday sessions are 2 hours, so we're looking going 3:30 to 5:30. The 1 hour sessions, we're thinking 3:30 to 4:30. Melanie has 2 workshops on Tuesdays and Thursdays that are 2 hour workshops. Those will probably go from 4 to 6. And we are looking at doing them at physical locations. So the physical location that people can go to, if they need to or if they want to, would be the Hive in Taos. And we're looking to set up similar locations in the other communities that we're working with. That's part of the cross-fertilization we have, is to help these folks determine where is a place people could go who don't have bandwidth or computers, and how can we make sure that those places are outfitted properly so that the people who don't have high-speed internet at home, you do need a good connection to do the story maps, they'll be able to have a place to go. So we really think the power here is the face-to-face relationship, having a place to go, having that camaraderie, socialization, but then being able to connect all of these places either synchronously or asynchronously by having ways of them sharing what they're doing. And as an added benefit to that, we're going to have the ability to use the data casting, but that's a separate kind of thing. So if that's good enough, it looks like we're ready to move on to Jason and the very critical, crucial, wonderful, enjoyable skills that he is promoting all over the planet.
Thank you. Okay, great. Well, we're going to start out with the video. I wanted to say FaCES is here to help you build on the power of your community and family goals with support from you, the coaches, and technology. So in order to do this, we're going to be drawing on these 8 skills that are needed. So please watch this short video from the DART project about how a family used all 8 skills to help with their move to Mexico.
My children and I were born and raised in Texas. In mid-2021, our family decided to move to Mexico. Change is not easy, but we're discovering our new reality.
We had to collaborate in our family's goals, like how to keep the house clean.
My parents also collaborate in making breakfast before school and packing our lunches. You can collaborate with others to complete your goals.
The first thing I noticed in Mexico is that there were a lot of stray dogs. I love animals and I want to find a home for all of them. I need to talk to the locals and see what they have set up and their opinion of what I see. In the meantime, I'll see what I can do.
I had to practice my limited Spanish.
In Mexico, I learned how they celebrate Day of the Dead and Christmas here.
I want to continue to travel the world in person and virtually and see how their lives are unique and different than ours. My sister and I have had to be creative while making costumes for our school functions. We've had to be unique.
Our mom helps a lot and lets us try different ideas.
Since starting school here, I've had to learn on my own. I want to be top of my class and master Spanish. I've written a plan on how I'm going to accomplish it. I'm going to get help from parents, teachers, and find tools I'd like to use online.
I can use technology for learning too. I can find real-life online tutors. I can find stuff that I enjoy and stuff that I can use to help me with my school and my homework. I'll do all of that on my phone or this computer.
I know Spanish, but listening and reading has been very difficult for me. I've had to use critical thinking as the best way to adjust. I have to figure out which kids have the best information and what choices to make about how to spend my time. I need to analyze and summarize here to figure out what is the best way to help my family here.
I love to talk to people and I can share my ideas. You can share your ideas. She can share her ideas. The whole world can.
I know, and what does your mom say?
My superpower is talking.
I know, and very soon you're going to be able to tell us what your friends, teachers, classmates think.
We're gonna make a chart.
It's about the best places for kids to have fun around here.
Hey, thanks for watching. So moving ahead, I just want to let everyone know that what we're doing here is that for everyone in this project is going to be using these skills, both in homes and schools and the community, and with the purpose to improve learning opportunities, and specifically these opportunities to teach and learn these 21st century skills. So the timing of this is that as soon as you register for this project, that information is going to come to me and you're going to get an email for you to complete, ideally before this event, which many of you did. If not, I hope you can fill it out immediately after the event. What you can search for is an email from Bethany via SurveyMonkey that will have a link to your survey. So check in your spam folder in case, and let us know if you didn't get that. Going ahead then, this is how we look as a group so far from our data. And basically, this is actually from DART, what we learned. And what we see here on the right, these lighter color bars show that more than half of the participants said only never or a few times had they engaged in using local knowledge to complete a task, or considering different community viewpoints, or talking to a member of community when completing a project. So this shows us that there's a great opportunity to learn in this project. And if Bethany will go ahead to the next slide, we can see that when we have professional development and workshops in place, like this project with Startup Generation, which is one of the ones you'll have access to, we're really able to move the needle on some of these skills by giving people the opportunities that they haven't had previously. Go ahead, Bethany. Hopefully we get this. So this is what we look like as a team. This is based on those of you who filled out the survey so far, and you'll see that on a 5-point scale, we're above 3.5 on all of them. What I notice is that global and cultural connections and local connections are at 3.5 out of 5. And those are some areas that we'll be developing. So, but overall, we're coming in with a strong group of coaches, as we should be, because we're going to need to support everyone learning these skills. I think you can go ahead. So I'm going to briefly just review the skills, and these are the ways that the skill can help you. I think it's really important that we're talking about applying these to your life and solving problems. So critical thinking, addressing difficult problems with no clear answers, using different information sources and having to make decisions. And you can see these are our data here, and everyone in this group who's answered has said they've done this either daily or weekly. So this is one of the strengths for our group overall, I would say. These are just 3 of the sample data points that you get when you do the survey. Collaboration, you can see we're also strong, although there's some people who have only a few times or each month given feedback to peers. That will be an important part of this project. Collaboration obviously involves working with others to set goals and complete tasks. Go ahead. The third skill is communication, which involves organizing your thoughts and presenting them in different ways, not just writing, but using different media. And this one is one where it seems like we have real opportunities in this group even to learn or exercise these skills more frequently, figuring out what tools to present and using charts and tables and answering questions. These are things that, not everyone has equal strengths in these, and we'll see later that some of these things make you squirm, that you don't want, these aren't your sweet spot, and some of them probably are. So hopefully you see some of your own skills as we go through these. The fourth skill is creativity and innovation. And that one has to do with addressing problems in new ways, or combining existing materials or resources in a way to solve a problem that hasn't been done before. And you can see that even among our esteemed group, there's not a lot of people who have do this on a daily basis. So again, this is something that, as Ferdy talked about, solving wicked problems, we're all going to have to experience as part of this project. The next skill is self-direction. And this has to do with taking responsibility for your own learning and steering your own directions and reviewing your own work. And here again, you'll see that there's quite a bit of variation. Okay, I'm seeing a comment come in which says, "At a second, how well do you think you do this?" So we have had that. I can show you that later, Josh. It's a great comment. We actually had 3 questions originally. Did you try it? Did you succeed? And do you have evidence? For this project, we're going to focus on just, do you have evidence? And so everyone who goes through this, by the time they're done, and if you've done the survey, some of you have said that you have evidence of these that we can talk about if we have time. But thank you for that comment. So moving right along, the next one is going to be making connections that are local. As I pointed out, look at this only a few times is the most frequent for using community knowledge for a task. So thinking about what we see in the community and solving local community issues, that's going to be a big part of this project. Moving along to global connections have to do with more geographic differences and differences in language, history, or art, or cultural differences, even within a community. And you can see that in our group, there's a range of experiences doing that, and this will be an important part as well. And last but not least, what happened to technology? There we go. So this one is unique in that this is a broadband related project, but you may have noticed, or maybe you didn't notice, the 7 previous skills, none of them technically require technology. You can communicate, you can collaborate, you can self-direct and be creative without necessarily technology, but this is where we put it all together and use technology to support these various types of learning. So learning from different sources, choosing what tools to use, creating and sharing ideas, using technology specifically. And this is cool because we can actually talk about the contribution that technology has towards these skills. Okay, now I said each one of us is different, and this is actually 3 of us. I won't say who's who, but just this tool is interesting because you can't be strong at all of these things. You'll see on the left, Coach A, self-direction is one of the weaker areas, whereas they're very strong in critical thinking and collaboration. If you look at Coach C, you'll see collaboration is near the bottom and self-direction is near the top. Coach B is strong on collaboration and technology, but has had less experience with creativity and innovation tasks. Now, these are all relevant for whether or not we're teaching students to do these, doing them ourselves, or just in our everyday life. But if we had more time, we could dig into how would you approach working with people on teams who have these different profiles. So I'll leave that as something to contemplate further as we go ahead to the next slide and consider, what would you do as a coach with people who have less experience perhaps with some of these? And these are some things that we've thought about for people to communicate in safe settings that are low stakes, or making sure that people have an opportunity to be heard if they don't speak up frequently. For collaboration, setting expectation and defining roles, or using different grouping strategies. One is to pair less experience with more experience, but sometimes putting less experience together forces them to step up and take that leadership role that they otherwise would let someone else take. Critical thinking, I think gently soliciting opinions or asking someone to summarize someone else's critical thoughts to show the understanding, or modeling different questioning techniques. Creativity, encouraging ideas even if they don't work out. Just try it out and see, or come up with brainstorming game that have no bad ideas. These are all things that we can work on together and think about how we're able to coach people towards success in this project. I won't go through the rest of the 4 skills now. I'll let you go ahead, Bethany, as we're approaching the home plate again. I'll just say that this framework has been used around the world in a number of projects, but also in rural New Mexico. And what it's really beneficial for, I hope will be beneficial, is that the learners, the participants in this project, get to reflect on their own skills. Each one of you who fills out the survey will get a report of your skills that you can think about. But as coaches here, we can potentially look at the people in our groups and see who needs coaching or who can coach others within our groups. As you saw, the funders can be very pleased if they are able to see growth in these different areas, and typically you will. And as people working together to improve these programs, this is really important data about, where are we hitting these skills? Who among our students is making the global connections? Why or why not? And where do we want to focus more attention? So that kind of summarizes the benefits of this. Moving right along, I think that if you now hopefully are familiar with the skills a little bit more, and you can think about which of those are resonating with you. And I think what we thought you could do is go back and think about your goal from earlier that you want to accomplish in this project, and just mention a couple of the skills that you think you're going to be using or relying on or expecting people to develop. So thank you for listening about this aspect of the project. And we hope that as everyone goes through this project, we'll be able to tell the story about our success in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. So I have popped another Jamboard link into the chat, and I just wanted to take a minute, and after reviewing all of the essential skills that Jason's covered, I want you guys to think of at least maybe 1 to 3 of these skills that you could use to answer this prompt. As part of the FaCES community, I will be using which particular skill in order to achieve which particular goal. And so I have put in an example. As part of the New Mexico FaCES community, I will use my skills of collaboration to encourage my students to encourage each other to be strong problem solvers. So please go ahead and put your sticky note in our Jamboard. If you could go ahead, just because when everyone logs in, it'll say like anonymous hyena or anonymous elephant. If you could go ahead and click on your sticky note and just put your name at the bottom. We're going to save these Jamboards so you could go back and refer to them while you're building your story map. It looks like we got all of our sticky notes for the first page. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Dana. Thanks, Ferdy. And if you do have a minute after you fill out your final sticky note, if you haven't put your name on the first sticky note from the very first question, that would be really helpful if you could. Just put your name in. We appreciate it. I could make a prediction based off the color of the sticky note, but I will probably fail. All right, so while you guys are working on that, let's go ahead and see if we have any questions so far. If you have any questions regarding the skills that Jason's covered.
I have one question, and that is it okay for me to add Danya and Josh and Heidi to our ArcGIS thing, because I don't believe you all have accounts. And assuming that it is okay to do that, I will do it, and you will be getting an email where you'll set your own password, and that way you'll be able to begin making the story map. So I guess this is, if you got a problem with me doing that, speak up now, or look for the link and please accept it.
No problem here. I can follow up with people if they haven't got the survey link as well. One thing that I'll say about the skills is that's just worth thinking about as we go forward is the skills are usually in the context of some content or some use. They don't have, they aren't content free or context free. So as we work on our stories, we'll talk about critical thinking in service of making decisions about what to do in our community, or creativity in order to solve particular problems that we're digging into, as opposed to as an end in itself. But this is just a great intro to what we'll be talking about.
When you ask about the evidence, what are you looking for, and how much detail and how much should we supply?
That's a great question. The way I'm thinking about it as a survey question is it's just shining the spotlight. It's, do you have something that you want to show? And if you say yes, then we will shine the spotlight on you, and you will be able to perform or share whatever you think is appropriate at that time, and hopefully get feedback from us. But if we had more time, we could go through each of your surveys and say, hey, Creighton, you said you had a lot of evidence of this. What do you have? And hey, Bethany, you said you have a lot of evidence of collaboration. You know, how does that look to you? I think there should be some kind of product that's presented, and also some kind of explicit presentation so that you can see what thought went into the product. A lot of time product, unless it's really explicit, needs to be explained. So I think the storyboard ultimately, or the story map, gives you a lot of flexibility to record a video or put a graphic or write a story, and we're going to be pretty flexible about that. Does that
I think
make
the
sense?
other thing, Jason, is that because we have showcases every Friday, part of that review, which we're going to normalize and make part of what we do, is when somebody is showing the story map, I always encourage them to say, tell me which skill was most important, or which combination of skills was essential in the success of what you created. And as we make everybody respond to that, fairly soon it's going to become normal and easy for people to do it. And as we pointed out in the feedback sessions, oh, that was a great example of collaboration there. Have you thought about submitting it as evidence? So I think it's going to become part of a socialized way of us talking about these things, and we're going to reinforce people every time they do something, whether they bring it to us as an example or whether we shine the spotlight that Jason was talking on. That's part of what we're going to do as coaches.
All right, do we have any other questions? All right, I believe that's appropriate wait time. Okay, so we're going to spend about 5 minutes making sure that everyone can log into their CSM course. Let me throw this into the chat. I'm not sure who has been able to get on. So let me throw that in. I went in and I registered a few attendees today. I will go ahead and I'm going to just show you my CSM login, just so you guys can see what the page looks like. And I just want to make sure that no one's having any difficulty logging in. So Bertie, you can see on my page that I have Christina, Dana, Heidi, and Josh. Creighton was already registered, but I couldn't add him as a student per se. So I'm not sure.
Later on, once you finish this and you have people that are working with you, and I hate to use I hesitate to use the word assigned, as Danya was saying, but when we figure out how exactly we're going to do that, one of the things that happens is, as people are working through this, you get automatic notifications of how they're doing and where they're stuck. You don't have to respond to them every minute, but they're going to be sent to you about every 10 minutes. So you're going to have a benefit of the intelligence of this system letting you know how people are doing. But that's a few steps down the road. What we really want to get you through is get you through these two parts of the courses, A, so we can pay you your $1,000, and B, so that we can then begin hiring you to work with different people and helping facilitate our workshops, et cetera, et cetera. So the first milestone is to complete these, as Creighton has done. I think Creighton's the first one who's done both.
So whenever you log in, this is just a very quick overview. You're just going to click on the coach training student account. And I'm pretty sure Creighton's looks different, but I've completed the coaching section. So whenever you complete a course, it will show up right here. If you click on your training, this is a good just kind of overview of what it'll look like. So it shows that I've completed the coaching course. It shows how far I've gone through the CSM skills course. And it shows me what I'm working on. If you come up to, where's my home page? My home page. You'll see right here, it shows me the classes that I'm in, the time that I've spent, and here is my CSM course. I'm gonna just minimize this so you can get a good idea of what this looks like. So you may have other bars that pop up on your page, but the two most important tabs that you need to worry about is the CSM course and the CSM high performance coaching. So if you click on mine, it'll show I completed all of the lessons. And so it shows that I'm certified. So that part is done for me. And then I'm currently working on this CSM course. So it's all broken down by different colored belts. You have to have a black belt in every single one of these sections, or else they will take you back every 2 weeks to recover it. So of course, here I was on these times where I was putting down decimals wrong, or I put a fraction in wrong and then got extremely frustrated with myself. But that's part of the process. And it's teaching me to be more reflective and more patient, which is a challenge at times. So I just wanted to take a minute to make sure that everyone was able to get on to there and log into their CSM page. So if you guys can just go ahead and just make sure that you're not having any difficulty logging in. You don't have to do anything right now. I just want to make sure. Okay, Joshua's good to go. Oh, Joshua has a question, Ferdy, about CSM that I think you could probably answer.
Yes, they have a lot of AI going in there, and at some point you'll probably want to have a chat with David Goldberg. I'm sure that you and he will get along just fine. And I can help facilitate that for you.
Yeah, I think it's for flagging students who are struggling and so on.
Okay, so Dana's good, Creighton's good, Josh is good. And so Heidi, we're just making sure that you can get on. I'm not going to put her on the spot because I know her personally, so I can always just call her if she needs help. Okay, so the next steps that you're going to be working on is going into the CSM platform, completing your high performance coaching course. Then you'll complete the basic CSM course. Then when you're finished, you can send both of those certificates to me, and then Ferdy will be following up with next steps to make sure that you get paid. We just have some reminders just to remind you to just work at your own pace. There's no rush. We have our own personal rush, but as long as the ball is rolling, we're happy. If you need any support, you can definitely reach out. We also are requesting that you start brainstorming on who that can benefit from your own coaching abilities and accessing the CSM system. And finally, please make sure that you complete the skills survey that Jason sent out. Well, it's under my name, so just look for my name, Bethany, even if it's in your spam or in your junk folder. Please complete that survey because this information is extremely important for our data collection. And I see something real quick from Heidi in the chat. Stuck in the loop on CSM. Okay, yeah, Heidi, don't worry about that, Heidi. I'm pretty sure that I can get all of that set up for you.
And Danya will make sure that you have the high performance coaching tab.
Oh, I'm glad that you caught that, Ferdy. I didn't see that in the chat. And so as we wrap up, FaCES and our community guides, we're ready to work with you to access the technology tools. We want to make sure that we have confidence in math and literacy skills, mastery of foundations and next steps to build more confidence, passion for learning skills, solving problems, and creating opportunities. We want to have an awareness of workforce applications, of skills and career pathways, accelerated learning and professional development for advanced candidates. And we always want to make sure that we're celebrating our continued success. A lot of the times we just keep going and going and going, and we don't stop to celebrate successes. And, you know, sometimes, especially after COVID, being able to wake up and complete all your errands for the day, that's a success. So we want to highlight little successes, like those big black rectangles that I'm finally getting on my skills because I'm actually sitting down and being patient with myself. So we want to make sure that we are providing space for you to have your own feeling of success and to be able to share your own accomplishments as you go through this process with us.
And if I may take this opportunity to see you and raise you, Bethany. Last night, I got an unexpected email from the potential funder of our 2-year project. They have an emergency need from the governor to interview people and create video content about how broadband is improving people's lives. And specifically, they wanted to know how the Office of Broadband has helped communities. Well, the Office of Broadband hasn't been in existence very long. They basically got their director in July, and they're just now beginning their community workshops and stuff like that. When we get adopted by the Office of Broadband, and hopefully that first step will be tomorrow in our meetings with the PED, we've officially become part of what they're doing, which means everything we've been doing for the last year becomes part of what they can claim credit for. So I'm thinking of you, Creighton. I'm thinking of you, Heidi. I think you can talk about what you've seen with your families or that you work with the students that you've worked with, the community that you work with. The only spin to put on it is this spin of how broadband or the potential of broadband has become real and what it's meant to you as teachers and coaches. For Danya and for Josh, your work with the Hive and with Agnes and the STEM Arts Lab, you yourselves from just our conversations, I think you're almost like the poster children for what being able to have the skills and the access can mean in terms of the choices that it's made for you. So if you spend a little time thinking about what you would say if you got selected for an interview and you're comfortable with that, then I was asked to give a list of people that they can now consider contacting for this, because there aren't a lot of people around New Mexico who have had the experience or who are prepared to talk about the experience. So I really mean like by next week, if this is something you want to do, let's start thinking about it and let's start doing it, because there's an urgent demand for these types of stories. And we know we've heard a lot of these stories. We've seen people who have been talking about it, but now we need to make it real. So that is that last bullet there is going to happen quicker than you think. So this is what's coming up. We're going to be having workshops. This is the question that Danya asked earlier. What is the timing? We're thinking of having these things after school, and I've put Calendly links in here, which I hope, Bethany, you can transfer to our resource page. You ought to be able to go into those pages and sign up for any of the sessions that you want to do. I believe you can do them individually. There are 2 different calendars. One calendar is for the blue, the story map series of things that are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The other are the orange that are the digital collage. And we're actively seeking classes of art teachers who would want to do this. What Melanie Schultz has put together is unbelievable in terms of being able to show people how to use free digital tools to explore art history and create things in the style of Michelangelo, or the style of Leonardo, or the style of Rubens, or Impressionist art, abstract art. She's got some really great stuff going there. The second one is that's the digital collage. If you go to the next page, this one is coming up. The first one is coming up on Saturday at noon. This is why I had to put Saturdays and Sundays in. When we do the micro seasons, I'm going to put a link in the chat now too. This link in the chat is for a story map that I just created to allow people to submit their pictures and their words for the story map session that I'm going to do on Saturday, even if nobody shows up. I did 18 of these in a row for the spring session of DART. We suspended it over the summer, but now we're going to have these things simply because it is so easy for people to do. They just have to go outside and take 2 pictures, write some words about the pictures, send them up. As long as I get it 24 hours in advance, I can create the video that we then share during the webinar. And our weekend webinars are usually going to happen at noon, and our daily webinars are going to happen at 4, except on the times when they bump up against an existing workshop when we're overlaying those workshops. So you might see some of them at 4:30 because they're bumping up against something else that was before that. But by and large, this is going to be the schedule that we're working on between now and the very final micro season we do will be at our celebration on December 2nd. So it should be pretty cool and pretty fun. Most of the people that have done these things have enjoyed them. And we put them on maps. We're using story maps this time to actually do the micro seasons. So this is what's coming up. Now, I'll just say you can make $30 for every one of these buttons. If you choose to be a facilitator to help me run the webinars on here, if we have breakout rooms or other stuff, I'm looking to have people who can learn how to do these micro season sessions so that I don't have to do every one of them like I did the first time. So the first couple of ones that you do, you'll learn how to do it. It's very simple, and that's additional compensation. If you go back one slide, Bethany, the same way on these 3 sessions, if you want to be someone who's going to help us with the breakout rooms for story maps or help lead a story map workshop, there's additional compensation for those because John D. can't do every single one of them every single Monday. He is going to do one for us next Monday, which is a state holiday, and he has time to do that at 9 a.m. So that will be the only one. Next Monday is the only story map workshop we're going to do that will start at 9 in the morning because almost everybody has the day off. And we're going to record them so that they can be used as people jump in, because we don't think everybody's going to jump in at once. We may have some people who jump in the very last week before the session, but we are willing and we're anxious to have people that are coaches help us staff these webinars and get compensated for doing it so that we can support breakout rooms and other stuff like that. So I just wanted you to know that those are opportunities for you to benefit from the certificates that you're going to get in addition to the compensation you'll get for earning the certificate.
Okay, well, look at us. We finished 6 minutes early, Ferdy. Jason, I think we did pretty good. Well, thank you guys so much for just taking this time out to meet with us. If you have any questions, we have about 5 more minutes that would be happy to stay on and clarify anything for you.
I'd actually like some feedback on how they felt this presentation itself was in terms of other people seeing it who might not have the same experience you do. What suggestions or modifications would you have for us